Okay, cool. Here we go. Shonen versus Seinen. Oh, Shiki. What makes these mangas special and Vagabond, Berserk, and Vinland? Do you think this guy believes in the big three too? The big three
Probably.
Seinen?
Yeah, and yeah, we can get to that because that's actually like a contentious topic.
Yeah. Alright, let's go.
Vinland Saga was my entry into the seinen genre, excluding Attack on Titan, which
Genre.
is
Alright,
Wait,
technically
stop, stop,
shonen.
already.
stop, 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 stop,
Stop
stop,
right
stop.
there.
All
Alright,
right.
Seinen genre. Now, what's wrong with that? What?
Okay. Okay. So seinen and shonen, because these are the two he talks about. Seinen, basically means like what, like young man, right? And shonen means like teenage boy. Yeah, young men. I'm so smart. So Puff, as you may notice, that's not a genre. That's a
It's a
demographic.
demographic. You see, when you go to like any like series and they have genre and demographic listed separately for there's some pretty important
Mm-hmm.
reasons. I think
Mm-hmm.
so.
Also, Puff. One thing that this video is going to ignore is there's more demographics. Like, you want to know something crazy, Puff?
What?
You know the Pokemon Adventures manga that everyone hypes up as being like so dark and edgy and cooler than the anime.
Yeah, it's like supposed to be like
Oh,
lower than shonen, right?
oh,
Like
it's lower than shonen. It's
baby
for
boy.
actual kindergartners,
Yeah, for
and I've read
babies.
all of it. Whereas like Crayon Shin-chan, which you could look up what that looks like if you want.
Crayon. Yeah, I remember you showed it to me
Yeah,
for
Crayon
this exact
Shin-chan is
reason.
one of the best-selling seinen manga in the world. You see the problem here?
Yep.
This.
Don't you just love
Mhm.
the seinen
Okay.
genre?
No, but Puff, let's be good faith. Let's be good faith. Now, seinen and shonen aren't genres, right?
Yep.
But some people like to say that battle shonen is a genre.
Yeah, and like
But
I
here's the
understand
problem
those
with
people. Like,
no, but here's the problem with that. What defines a battle shonen is actually like somewhat controversial. Like everyone agrees that something like One Piece or Naruto is a battle
yeah, like
shonen, right?
Dragon Ball, the big three, and just
Yeah,
anything that resembles
but
that.
but no, but then it's kind of iffy because like Attack on Titan, some people think it's a battle shonen, some don't because like it has fights, but also it's not like quite the same. Or like Ippo. Ippo is nothing but fighting, but because it's a sport, some people don't want to call it a battle shonen. So even then, it's still kind of fucking iffy. And like,
Yeah,
let's pretend that like Berserk, Vagabond, and Vinland were all shonen, right? Would they all be considered battle shonen? Maybe. Vagabond absolutely would. Berserk probably would.
yeah, Berserk
Vinland,
probably would.
yeah, and Vinland I feel like would be like in the Attack on Titan space where half the people do, half the people don't.
Yeah,
So like, it's stupid. It's dumb. It's
like
it's
it's
so
not
he's
an
already
important
off.
argument to have, but like I
No,
kind of
no.
get like where it comes from.
Well, even then, it's kind of like just doing like R-rated movies versus PG-13 movies. Hi, Croc. Yeah, it's kind of like R-rated versus PG-13, where it's like dumb, and like the only thing you could argue is like limitations. But even then, the limitations aren't the same because like what you're allowed to do in a seinen and shonen depends on your magazine and your specific series. Like Kaguya and Kingdom both run in the same magazine, right? And they're both seinen.
Yep.
If the Kaguya author wanted to start beheading people, I think the magazine would tell them no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not
But
like really
also,
just like a. That's just like trying not to mess up the story you're
yeah.
in, basically.
Oh no, but there are magazines that entirely have fluff like that. Where like it's mostly just cute slice of life shit, and if one guy was like, "I want to be brutal as shit," the magazine would be like, "No."
I'm just gonna look this up because I think this is gonna be relevant
Oh, you're gonna
sooner or
find the
later.
meme that you love,
Yep.
and I don't care for.
Wait, oh wait, no, that's not the one. That's not the one.
No, you want the joke one.
Yeah, I want the good one. All right.
No,
Should we
no, because
continue
or
or?
like another example is like, what are the two things that like shonen typically aren't allowed to do? Puff. It's like nudity and gore, right?
Yeah, pretty, more or
But
less.
then for nudity, that depends. For example, Blue Exorcist runs in a monthly Jump manga and occasionally has like tit nudity, which is like about as crazy as it gets.
Yep.
Like even like Berserk, like when Casca and Guts like have sex for the first time, it's really tame as shit.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I
what you
mean, I
can
guess like
see.
that's not really the most intense stuff. It would probably be like Griffith and Casca.
Yeah, no, that's also fucked up. But then even with brutality, I showed you Jujika no Rokuinen, which is torture porn. That's it.
Yeah.
There's a chapter where a guy's dick gets blown off. There's a chapter where a guy gets skinned alive and then tortured as he gets poked on his like fresh blood and muscles.
Yep.
That's a That's not Seinen. That's a shonen.
Yeah, and this is
That runs in the same magazine as the fairy tale sequel.
Yeah, and this is an important thing, right? You said this is ongoing, so this isn't like some like Devilman example where it's like, oh, it's so old we can't apply the same standard.
Yeah, because like at least with like Dragon Ball nudity and Devilman, you can be like, oh, they're old. But no, Jujutsu no Rokunin is ongoing.
Yeah, but like even then, like Devilman is a shonen, but then its immediate sequel, Devilman Lady, which is still like 70s, 80s stuff, it's a seinen because suddenly the main character has tits.
Which is so funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all uncommon. It all doesn't make any sense. Like if Jujutsu no Rokuin, if that author, like let's say they were published under Jump, right? Jump would probably put them in a seinen magazine.
Yeah.
So like seinen versus shonen actually doesn't mean anything. The whole premise of this video is wrong. We can start it now.
Yep. Stupid video.
Vinland Saga was my entry into the Seinen
Found it.
genre, excluding Attack on Titan, which is technically a shonen.
Alright, why is it technically a shonen? He's never gonna explain it, and I don't.
Oh, it's technically a shonen because it's literally a shonen. It's published in a shonen
literally
magazine.
a shonen. I'm not sure why he makes an exception or whatever, but
Alright.
yeah.
Alright, I found the tweet, by the way. I sent a link.
I'm good at computers. There
Yeah,
we
you're
go.
old.
Alright, soft shonen, and we got like everything we see when you're a little kid. True shonen, the big three, because you know, true shonen, like let's talk about what the fuck does true shonen mean? I don't really know.
No, it's because it's a joke.
Hard shonen, alright, and
Edgy.
of course, and you see, we have seinen series here, but which resembles shonen series. That's why they're hard.
No, or like one argument you could make is most of the people who read those shonen would also like these seinen.
Yeah, like that's another thing. Like
if you like Bleach, you'd probably like Vagabond.
yeah, like a bunch of people I know love like all the big three and also Berserk, and that's because Berserk is immensely popular. But even then, like Vinland Saga is also sort of in that camp, I think.
Yeah.
All right, and then soft seinen, we got Hunter x Hunter, my favorite seinen series, alongside Chainsaw Man, and I'm forgetting the name of it, but it's a really cute manga that I read a while back, and it's so cute.
Nice.
And then the true seinen is, you know, fuck, no one cares about that besides Pluto. Pluto's awesome. And then hard seinen, which is all the slice of life genre is hard seinen because it's actually just like the most realistic high art stuff. And
dude, fucking K-On! Is Mocha and I watched the first episode of K-On!
I saw all of
K-On! Is just about a potentially mentally disabled girl learning to play guitar so she can hang out with her friends. Yeah, no, that is the plot of K-On!
It never changes. That's what it stays as. It's just fun slice of life stuff of high school girls.
Yeah, so that's probably just a good way to show that it's brain dead.
Oh, and you want to know why it's really hard seinen?
Why?
Because from my experience, most of the people who are into slice of life are like older people or older anime fans.
It's either like teenagers or like old people.
Yeah, because like I remember a lot of people like they get in because they love action, and then like over time they just sort of drift away from action. It's like, all right, I just want like character interaction and stuff, and that's how you get here. That's the pipeline.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. All right, now let's continue. Because we're only 6 seconds.
No, and Puff, he's about to say another stupid thing.
Oh, that's the whole video, dude.
It's also the only one of the Seinen Big Three that
Seinen Big Three!
Okay. No, Puff, here's the thing. I am well read on the regular Big Three, and I actually researched the Seinen Big Three for fun. People started calling them the Seinen Big Three definitively, I think, around 2020, but the argument has been around for a while, and you know what was interesting, Puff?
What was interesting?
Berserk was always, like, agreed upon, right? No one questioned that.
Yeah, because it's the most
Vagabond was generally agreed on. People were iffy because it's never going to end. And then, do you know what was actually hot button? Vinland Saga was propped up as an obvious answer, but you know what else was?
What?
Kingdom!
Yeah. People love Kingdom. In fact, Kingdom probably deserves a spot more if you were going to subscribe to the stupid thing, because it sells really well, and that's kind of what the Big Three was about.
Yeah, no, and also, like, the Big Three misses a lot of things. Like, the Big Three refers to a very specific thing. It was 3 really big manga in Shonen Jump that had really successful anime.
Please.
Yeah, no, same magazine, all aired at the same time, were really popular, and here's another one, Puff. Really popular in America is a thing. Because in Japan, the big three don't exist in that same concept. Like, they're grouped together, obviously, but like, half the time it's another grouping. Like, another really common grouping for a while was One Piece, Dragon Ball, and Naruto, because Bleach's vibes were so fucking different. They didn't want to categorize it with
I
it.
remember like people on Twitter being like, "Why do we consider Bleach part of the big three when Dragon Ball exists?" And it was like,
Yeah, no,
"Oh
it's
my
shit
fucking
like
God,
that
you're
that's
not even
funny.
trying."
Oh,
It's
also,
like people just see the
also,
word big three and think people just mean, "Oh, these are the big three most important anime or whatever."
I've read more of the best-selling seinen than these people, because the best-selling seinen are Golgo 13, which I know none of these people have read. None of you have read Golgo 13. Um, Oshi Shinbo, which I guarantee none of them have heard of. And then, oh, here's one they've read, hopefully. JoJo Part 7 and 8.
That's gonna be a whole thing later about how JoJo, even though like the tone stays pretty consistent across all the parts, it just flipped from shonen to seinen because it changed magazines. And that's one thing this guy's never gonna bring up.
Or like one that I realized researching Puff, Captain Tsubasa, the soccer manga from like the 1980s, became a seinen at some point.
Yeah, it just happens sometimes.
Yeah, so Kinnikuman became a fucking seinen. It's Kinnikuman. Kinnikuman's stupid. So yeah, seinen big three for one, not a thing the same way the real big three is, and even the real big three is just like a fan term. And for two, no one even agrees on it because even I think Kingdom should probably be here. It's Kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, Kingdom's big. Like, big, big.
Oh, it's
Well,
fucking huge.
let's continue. Let's get 10 seconds in.
Currently
Oh, no,
up to
we can
date.
get farther now.
I found out about Vinland Saga through the anime and didn't watch it for about a year. Then in 2022, just before Christmas, I finally decided to watch it, and did so nearly in one sitting. And I was blown away. I caught up to the manga, and I have to admit, Vinland Saga is my favorite and one of the best manga I have ever read. Never before have I felt so connected to rapists, pillagers, and murderers.
Hell yeah.
For the first time, I was thoroughly entertained by a bunch of people just standing around
I should
talking.
probably just
The
fast
dialogue,
forward through
art,
this part
animation,
when I-
No, it's fine. Let him
characterizations,
talk.
heartfelt moments, tragic deaths, and hard-earned triumphs had convinced me that Vinland Saga is one
that
of the
is true. The
greatest
best part of this
stories
video
ever
is just
told.
when he's talking
But
about what he
recently,
No, because you should pause that for a
release of
second, Puff,
season
because
6
he said the good thing about Vinland Saga is good characters with interesting conversations. You can sit and just listen to them talk. Good themes.
Yep.
Something that no other manga have. No other manga have themes.
No, dude, it's just like whatever you connect with, that's fine. Like that's like it's just when he's talking about Kingdom is the only parts where the video is bearable.
Vinland, yeah. But it's like, yeah, it's fine that you like it's fine that you like Vinland. It's fine that you like it more than MHA. When I catch up with Vinland, I'll probably like it more than MHA too. I'm not very strong for MHA. I just think it's pretty good.
Yeah, okay, this is like what this video should be called. It should be called "Why I Like Vinland Saga More Than My Hero" because that's like all he talks about.
Oh, also one thing that's interesting is he said for Vinland he watched all the anime and read all the manga, right?
Yep.
That's not true for anything else he talks about here, from what I know. I don't even think he's read all the MHA manga, and that's his main comparison. So that's kind of
We'll
weird.
get there. We'll get there. I remember he says some particularly dumb stuff.
All right, let's go.
of My Hero Academia, what manga readers think is the best arc of the series so far, or at least in a long time, I made a shocking discovery. My Hero Academia, at its best, doesn't come close to Vinland Saga at its worst. I always felt the term shonen trash referred to an overhyped manga or show, that it was just an insult to whatever series shonen fans didn't like at the time, but I discovered that shonen trash is actually just a criticism of tired, lazy, unoriginal tropes of the genre. But
Okay.
not all shonen is ruined by tropes used with the sole purpose of hyping up the audience. This video isn't about shonen.
Should we have a whole tropes or just tools thing, or should we just like not make this a 3?
Okay,
Yeah.
tropes are inherently bad, so that's a stupid one, obviously. Any trope can be used well or poorly, so that's dumb.
Also,
and another
everything
one
you
is,
love
like-
has tropes that exist.
Or another
elsewhere.
thing is,
Don't
like, a
have
lot
to
of
be-
quote-unquote shonen tropes I can find in a lot of seinen, too.
Yeah, oh, we'll talk about that. I remember he talks about that kind of thing.
Okay,
Shonen
good.
versus seinen.
We can
it's
wait.
about shonen tropes versus seinen tropes, and why seinen.
Does he ever talk about
is
seinen
outright
tropes?
better storytelling than shonen. And before the video actually begins, be
Okay,
wary
so
of
he's
the
gonna spoil
spoilers.
these, Puff. So
Let's
we should try
start
to
with
stick to
what used
also
to
just
be my
these.
favorite anime.
Alright.
My Hero Academia is mid, 7 out of 10 at its absolute best, and I only learnt this by
That's a
consuming
positive
more media.
score, and
Like
that's
No, at its
who says
best,
they prefer
Puff.
McDonald's prepared by a 15-year-old minimum wage worker over a premium steak prepared by Gordon Ramsay because they've never had the
Premium
latter
steak.
and don't know what all the fuss is about.
I have
it hardly
evolved
needs to be
taste 'cause
said, but all
I,
anime
No,
are
wait,
not
Puff.
created
There's another
equal.
problem with that.
And
Pause
to make
that.
it
Okay, but hypothetically speaking, let's go with that analogy, right? Like normie shonen like MHA are like fast food, and then like good, well written seinen like Berserk and Vinland and Vagabond. I've only read Berserk and Vagabond, so I'm gonna talk about are like high quality food, right?
Yep.
I really like Berserk and Vagabond. They're both in my manga 5x5. They're not my favorite seinen. Neither of them are. My favorite seinen's Kaguya. And actually, my second favorite seinen, from what I remember, is I think Plunderer. Wait, is Plunderer? If Plunderer is a shonen, I'm actually gonna be baffled.
Alright.
Oh my god, Plunderer is a shonen. That's fucking insane. All right.
Ooh, that's fun.
So yeah, Plunderer is apparently a shonen. Which,
Nice.
if you've read Plunderer, you know why that surprises me.
Oh, also, by the way, when we said Kaguya-sama, which we're probably going to mention later, we're talking about this Kaguya. This one right here.
Which is just a cute romance.
Yeah. Best seinen ever. Fucking seinen tropes.
clear, my scale for good and bad isn't just hype.
Oh no, my favorite
It
seinen's
was
probably
a
Akira.
weird process realizing Stain from My Hero Academia is not the greatest anime villain of all time, and in
I do
fact
agree with
has a
that.
horribly
Yep.
inconsistent worldview. It's kind
Wait,
of
pause.
freeing realizing things I
Let's be nice to MHA. Stain's worldview is like, I don't think it's inconsistent, but it's more like it fails, right?
Yeah.
Because Stain's thing is he wants heroes more like All Might, and he doesn't want heroes who care about money and revenge, right?
Yep.
But by killing heroes, he makes good heroes like Ida, who was
Yeah.
noble, become revenge ridden, and that's the point. Stain is trying to fix society by just being the worst, and it doesn't work. You're right that he's not that interesting and not that complicated. That's why he's the villain for like 2 volumes. He's not that big of a guy.
It's fine for the villain to be wrong. Because he's
Yeah, no.
the villain. And sure,
Yeah,
like,
no,
you could say that's simpler storytelling, but that doesn't even make it bad.
Yeah, no, and I agree. Satan is simpler. He's a simpler villain. He barely does anything.
Yeah.
thought were great are mid or worse, and that most shonen have just enough variation to convince me I'm not watching the same show. That somehow a show about Vikings doing Viking things had more mileage than literal superheroes with near infinite potential combinations of fights, character dynamics, social commentary, and theme. For example, instead of focusing on 20 plus characters in a class setting which destroys the pacing and makes any scene with characters you don't like basically filler, Vinland Saga focuses
wait,
the majority of its time on
Okay,
the
now wait till he goes a little
Ensemble
farther, because he's
versus-
gonna... No, wait till he goes a little farther, because he's gonna bring up the 3 characters. Wait, let him go a little farther.
Thorfinn, Askeladd, and Canute. If
Okay,
Vinland
now we can
Saga
rank.
had the My Hero Academia
Okay, every manga has core characters that it focuses on, and then, like, side characters that it also focuses on, but to, like, a lesser degree. They do them in different ways. Like, Vinland, although Askeladd's still iffy, because he fucking died.
Yep.
And then he's clearly not in the focus now, is he? He's dead. But even then, like, we focus on other characters sometimes. Like, what's the axe guy that Thorfinn fights? The cool
I'm
axe
forgetting
guy?
his
Tall
name,
man?
but he is a cool axe guy.
Yeah, and we focus on him for a while.
Or even like the chain guy, I remember him.
Yeah.
Cool
No, or like,
axe
I'd
guy.
say the way it works for MHA is each arc, we have, like, a core, like, what, max of 5 main characters that we focus on.
Thorkel.
Yeah, love him.
That's him.
Love him.
Great.
Love
I love
Thorkel. No, because, like, what's a dumb example? Like during the overhaul, there's plenty of characters there. Like Ochako's in that arc, and I literally forgot because she doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
But like the core focus characters of that arc are like Eri, Deku, Mirio, Sun Eater, the Time Guy, Night Eye, and like Kirishima and Fat Gum. And even then, if you want to be more specific, it's like Kirishima, Mirio, Deku, and Overhaul.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Those are the most important ones I remember.
Yeah. And then, like, yeah, it differs every arc. And the thing about, like, oh, if I don't like this character, it's bad that they're on screen. Couldn't you just as easily argue that that's worse with a smaller cast? Like, let's say I fucking hate Askeladd, right?
Yep.
But he's on screen like half the time. Oh no, this manga now sucks. That's not a good point.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was the
scenes
plot.
with characters you don't like aren't going to be fun because you don't like the character.
I'm sure in
That's
his
not a
mind, like
clever
you just, yeah,
observation.
I think just in his mind, you're way more likely to like Askeladd than any member of Class 1A, which I guess is true. But like
Probably.
that's
But
because
then the
Class
balance to
1A
that
are just
is,
side characters.
yeah, no, the balance to that is most of the Class 1A characters aren't on screen that often. Like, the one who gets the most focus is Deku and Bakugo. You kind of have to like them. Ida, we thought was the main character because he mattered a lot early on, but now he's just another side character, like Kirishima. They get their focus arc and then they leave. Todoroki is, like, I'd say still one of the more primary ones.
Yeah, I'd probably say he's like third,
But even then, they're
maybe
still, like,
fourth.
inconsistent. Like, currently in the main final fight that's going on right now, one of the guys who's doing the most is Tokoyami.
Yeah, it came out like I remember he has his moments like in most arcs, like it's just like because he seems like a capable guy.
And because he's cool.
Yeah,
But then there's also tons of characters that have, like, little things every arc. Like, Ochako gets something almost every arc because she's the main girl. Or, like, Momo gets something almost every arc. Great for her. Hell, me Netta usually gets something every arc where he matters. He gets to
no, dude,
become
that's
a
why
better
it's a waste
hero.
of time because there's 20 characters that just do a little bit and not 3 characters who do a whole lot. And if you don't tell that story the way I like in the 3 characters kind of way, then it's inherently worse and it's a bad
Like, it's
trope.
okay if you don't like ensemble casts. I don't think I remotely agree with that. I feel like everything I love has, like, huge casts. Oh, another example of something where there's tons of characters, but only, like, a couple matter. In Naruto,
Oh my,
only, like, two
stupid.
characters matter.
Oh my god. The Kona
If your name
11,
isn't Naruto and Sasuke, you're not getting half the development they are.
like it's weird. People think like the Konoha 11 are supposed to be like the main core cast when they're really
They're
not.
not.
Like they're
No,
important for the tuning exams and like that's kind of it for most of them.
and then, like, different ones matter at different times. Like,
Yeah, like
Shikamaru
Shikamaru.
gets good stuff when Asuma dies.
Yeah,
Or, like,
good arc. I like Shikamaru.
Lee gets good stuff for a little bit. Neji gets a good fight every now and then a really good death. Neji's death is really good. Kiba doesn't fucking matter.
Shino doesn't matter, but my brother really disagrees and wishes Shino would do more. Which I guess is another thing about this weird ensemble cast thing is that some people grow attached to characters and then wish they do more and then they never get enough. But like it's kind of weird. I kind of don't like that because it's like you're picking what characters you like before they do anything, just based on
Yeah.
their vibe, and then like
No, that is that is
focus
another
goes.
thing where it's like you just have to try to be a little more open minded. Where it's like, I think there's another reason that a lot of people probably suffer watching sports anime. A character shows up, or like they've been around for a while in the background, and you don't know shit about them, and then finally it's their time to shine. If you in your mind have decided I don't care, whatever they do, I won't care. Yeah, you're not gonna like them.
Oh, you know who I'm thinking of?
Who?
Float Serve from Haikyuu.
Which one is? Oh,
Is
dude,
that-
his thing was so epic. I
Yeah,
love
it was
him.
so great. I love him too, and like it was like my brother, like the Shino guy. He loves him too, cause like he was like, oh, he has kind of a stand-up design. I like him. So like when he did find this thing, he was like, oh my fuck, he has the float serve.
Yeah, no, where like there's clearly benefits to ensemble casts, and I think generally I prefer them because there is a lot of benefits. For one, like he said, there's more potential character interactions because there's more fucking characters.
Yeah, that's probably like the big one.
Yeah, or like they can just explore more things. There's more unique designs. There's just a lot to like about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine that you prefer smaller casts. I don't care. Good
I
for
feel
you.
like, if you're talking about like long form storytelling, like I just think there's more benefits in ensemble than just.
Oh,
like,
obviously, because eventually you're just gonna run out of shit to say.
Yeah.
Whoopee.
All right, let's move on. We're getting like pretty off topic, I think.
Academia
No, it's
Ensemble,
fine.
each member of Askeladd's crew would be their own quirky character who are forced into the main story despite not contributing anything to the greater narrative. There is no getting around the fact that an ensemble show takes precious time and development away from the main characters that need it. Not everyone
That's not
is a
true,
main
though.
character, not everyone deserves to be. The intro to My Hero Academia is a single episode, whereas the intro to Vinland Saga is 5. And the entire first season is
What?
the prologue. Some heights you will never reach dividing time and budget between 20 characters. I think anyone would rather have 3 incredible characters than 20 mediocre ones.
All right,
And
but
it's
what if
not
the
just
20 mediocre characters all interact in ways that are really
Or
interesting.
like, what if, because Puff, I wouldn't describe MHA as 20 mediocre characters. I would describe it as like 3 or 4 really great ones, like 5 good ones that I like a lot, and then yeah, the rest are kind of whatever.
Yeah.
I like that. There's great characters, and then there's also just cool ones like Kirishima, who's just a Chad, and I love him. And then there's ones that don't really matter, but they're kind of charming, like Tailboy. Tailboy is charming. I feel bad for him.
Also, like, because again, we're talking about long form storytelling. Like, some of these guys are like sort of saved for like way later. Like, we all know like the UA trader was a thing. Turns out it was one
Yeah,
of these guys, and then they have
yeah.
a whole thing
Yeah,
later.
or like Mina and Kirishima have like a relationship and character development with each other that we don't know shit about until it finally starts happening.
I mean, I get it's just like I get it. I get that you'd rather have like focus on one character, and like there are settings for that, and but
Yeah,
there's also settings where also you can have more than
don't
three.
dismiss Ensemble Cast just because you watched MHA and didn't like it.
Also, like class 1A isn't where all the characters are. Like if we're talking about main characters, we're talking about Bakugo, and then this guy All Might.
Oh
We're
yeah,
not
All
gonna
Might's a
mention
bit of
All
a main
Might.
character.
Yeah,
Or like there's other characters that are more main characters than Class 1A. Like Hawks and Endeavor are more main characters than like Jiro is.
they get more screen time than like pretty much everyone in class 1A. I think.
Outside of like the main ones, yeah.
Yeah, that's up.
Because like yeah, Class 1A or like villain wise, Shigaraki's Shigaraki gets so much fucking development and focus. Jesus Christ.
Darn, it's almost like instead of just saying, "Oh, 20 characters, that's bad," you look, okay, this is one character with 30 chapters worth of stuff, or this character with a few chapters worth of
Yeah.
stuff.
It's just kind of like dismissive and not really engaging with the topic,
Yeah.
which is always great, always fun. Love when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
My Hero Academia. Naruto and Jujutsu Kaisen have ensembles that take precious development time away from the main
All right. Doesn't he say later that he hasn't seen Naruto?
He's seen
Like
that
he's
he's
just
seen like
saying.
3 episodes, which is
Oh,
nothing. And
and
then
that's
Jujutsu.
enough to.
Puff, I big Jujutsu head. I read Jujutsu every week. It's so good. Jujutsu's ensemble cast is actually like pretty minor. Like we basically only focus on, I guess, like early on we only focus on Itadori, Gojo, Megumin, and barely Nogasaki. Like we barely even focus on her. No, Nobara. Fuck me, I'm smart. Nobara. And then later on, we get different focuses. Like during the training camp, the main focuses are like we get small stuff because like one of the great things about ensemble casts is we get fights. And the second we get a fight, these 2 characters automatically get more development, and that's awesome. But like the characters who get the main focus in that arc are Itadori and best character. What's his name? Toto. Toto. Love Toto. Toto's a king. He's my favorite. And then there's also a lot of arcs. Like there's the arc that mostly focuses on Itadori, his master Nanami or Monami, Nanami, I think. Jellyfish Boy, who does not have a great time, and fucking the villain, the hand fucker. Love the hand fucker.
Yeah.
He's evil. It's like yeah, the ensemble casting always does that. We focus on different bunches of them at a time. He's acting like we pop between them every now and then, not actually focusing on anyone at all, which is just not true.
Yeah. God, we want to even bring up like how having like different factions of people with like different interests could also be like an interesting way to tell a
Dude, I
story.
fucking love factions.
Yeah, it's great. Factions are cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's so fucking
I'm just like
dumb.
imagining like, all right, if I was like reading through Magi, and I just thought, what? There's like 20 different kingdoms in Sinbad's alliance. What the fuck? How am I supposed to keep track of all these characters? And it's like you don't have to. If one of them becomes important, they'll show up and start being important. Then you can pay attention to them.
Yeah, it's just like, come on, man. All right, what's next?
characters. Demon Slayer does this as well, but at least the show paces itself well enough to give the main 4 more time than the previous examples, though they don't do much with it. I don't count simply doing things as character development. While hard to define, I consider doing things with permanent repercussions despite the outcome where the character changes for better or worse as character development, which unfortunately means that flashbacks are the weakest kind of character development. They let us know about the character we're watching getting to the point that we've already known them to be at. It's there so that we're tricked into thinking a character has come far and is already developed significantly without the writer having to actually write that development. It
Alright, stop.
instead makes the
I can
audience...
complain.
Yep.
Okay.
'Cause I like
So this ties into a lot of things. For one, his definition of development is weird because, like, the major consequences part, characters can develop from things that have almost no consequence. Like,
yeah,
generally, like, major events push them harder, but sometimes they develop through small things.
yeah, like
Like,
maybe they
like,
met a little kid on the side of the road and talked with them for a bit, and they're like, you know what, like that's kind of a trope, whatever. Like I think most of
yeah.
us can recognize that.
Or like an example is, oh no, this isn't one of the ones that goes to spoilers, but it's easy. One Piece. Robin's big arc is Enies Lobby, right? But one of her most notable developments is something minor, and that's the way she interacts with the crew. That's something small you only see in the background every now and then.
Yeah.
And that's not because of major consequences. That's just her opening up because she's vibing.
Yeah, she's just like joining in the gags more often because
Yeah.
she's in the crew now.
Yeah, not because it's a life or death join the gag event, but because she likes her friends.
Yeah, also like this kind of getting to like character development equal
mean-
good and not. Like,
Oh yeah, that thing.
You can
Where
have a
like there's
static character
plenty
and
of
have
ways
it
to
be
write a
good.
character.
Yeah.
Or like backstories are inherently good. Vinland starts with one. Like chapter like I think 3 through like 20 is a backstory. Because backstories are good. They let us know how our character got to where they are. They might flesh out the world too. They let us know the character's motivations. That's a good thing to know.
Yeah, and also this thing with Kirishima here, how he's saying like, oh, it's like tricking us into thinking he has changed. It's like the point is like, I guess like it's kind of the point where like, yeah, he's a whip now, he's a Chad, but like the point that it's really getting at is that quirks.
There's
sometimes
more
don't
going
suit
on
people.
than we think.
Yeah, quirks don't always suit people. Like Kirishima's kind of a wimp, but his quirk
Yeah.
is like.
Oh yeah, no, like for
terrible.
Kirishima, the big twist of the backstory is all this time we thought Kirishima was just like this kind of dumb, like proud guy who likes fighting and likes
Yeah,
being
like
on
this-
top. But
this
then we learn
meathead.
that's kind of a persona he's like putting on. And that he has, in a sense, come far. Everything we've seen up to now is proof that he's been able to keep going despite being scared. And then that backstory climaxed with him fighting Rappa, where he actually just had to use his body as a shield while it got fucking shattered by a big orca man.
Yeah. Just, it's again. I guess it's going to be the running theme where he just refuses to like sort of engage with my.
He's
hero on the same
dismisses.
level.
He's dismissive of
And he does
anything
Vinland, yeah.
that isn't outside of like his immediate appeal.
And that's fine, but then when you make a video about it and call it Shonen versus Seinen and make me upset, then I'm gonna start.
Oh no! The second you start trying to be like educated and smart with what you're saying, is the second it's like, all right, well, let's investigate what you're actually saying.
Yep. All right.
Interpret the time in between, because character development takes a lot of time to feel natural, but the nature of shonen is to meet a weekly quota only met by
Weekly quota. Now hold on. Didn't you have Boruto there just a few minutes ago as an example?
Which is bi-weekly, I think.
Yeah, but even
And also, there are weekly seinen.
yeah.
Kaguya was weekly.
All right, that's just a small thing. Don't need to.
No, that's just like
with
that's not a shonen thing. There's plenty of shonen that are bi-weekly or monthly. There's plenty of seinen that are weekly. It's not a shonen thing. It's a magazine thing. Yeah. If you want to criticize the manga industry as a whole, go ahead. It's not great. You can criticize quite a bit.
Like Gordon Ramsay metaphor is like what he's trying to apply here. Like, oh, seinen takes its time, and like the authors take like a month to do a chapter. While shonen, it's just slop they pour out. I don't know.
But they don't.
Maybe I'm just reading too much into it.
Fights and short bursts of exposition for audience retention. And let me be clear, flashbacks are not always bad. Attack on Titan uses them with great effect to constantly recontextualize aspects of characters and the world.
What do you think the Kirishima one
did?
did? Fuck me, dude.
Not simply to give context for a setup in the present. Grisha, for example, is dead by episode 2, but his entire story takes place in flashbacks that intersect with the present. Demon Slayer's characters are all extremely static, and when the ensemble problem shows up, it's
okay.
really
Pause it.
bad.
Yeah, I
When
can
Goku
rant. Because wait, no, go back. I want to have them all on screen. It gives me power.
And when the ensemble problem.
Okay, first of all, let's go in order. Shinobu, outside of flashback, is immensely static because her whole thing is she's stuck in a pit of revenge. Nezuko is not really static. We don't because her whole thing is she's constantly struggling with the demon part of her that wants her to be like violent and hateful, and then the real part of her, like her human part, where she's just nice and chill. Like when Nezuko finally gets to talk, she's a blabbermouth idiot like her brother. Kanao develops quite a bit to like her whole thing is her and Inosuke both deciding to like sacrifice parts of their body to win. Um, the fourth kid literally has amnesia due to trauma that he has to overcome in the main story.
I think like this guy only made to like the train arc. I think at this point.
Who did? Okay, yeah, but then he shouldn't bring up them, should he? He shouldn't bring up all these characters.
Like how he brought up
All right,
Naruto, even though he's the only 3 episodes in.
So I'm allowed to bring all them up. Snake Boy develops a little bit where he learns to be more social. Inosuke develops a lot where he learns to like love and cherish and not be a freak. Zenitsu learns to not be a coward and have like pride and honor. Tanjiro is actually pretty static in the sense that he's always a good person. He's basically just learning how to do it.
But Shiki,
Love Girl.
Paragons are bad characters. You can't have a Paragon character. This is why Superman's the worst superhero ever, because he's just a goody two shoes. He's always right.
Love Girl develops in a similar way where
I swear.
Yeah, Love Girl learns to be proud of herself. Gyu gets over his trauma with Tanjiro while fighting in the final arc. Rengoku dies static because he dies the first arc he does something. Wind Boy and his brother, who are right next to each other, both change a lot where they learn to like be able to express and be open with each other and admit their regrets and try to move past them. They can't because one of them dies. Tengen actually is static because he retires. Like, his big thing is he's like, wowie, I love being showy and cool. And then his final confrontation with the demons is the demons, like, died with their job names. Like, that's the trick. Like, the Scythe guy, his name is literally his job. He was consumed by his career and even does it as he's dead. And Tengen's like, fuck that. I don't want to die. I'm retiring. And then Big Strong Man, yeah, outside of Flashback, he doesn't develop either, but that's because he's like the literal stone pillar that holds up the rest of them. He's the biggest, he's the strongest.
Paragons are bad.
No, he's not. That's so stupid. He's the biggest, he's the strongest. He inspires everyone around them. He's the one who tries to keep everyone going forward, and that's why he dies. He dies because at the end, when there's the option between trying to heal him and healing someone else, he says, I've already been poisoned and injured. Go help them. Even though everyone's been poisoned and injured. He openly chooses to try and push the new generation forward, instead of, like, living himself. They all develop, or if they're static, it's meaningful, and they probably die.
Yep.
Shows up, it's really bad. Rengoku showed up for 30 minutes, was an annoying Gary Stu, and then died, as if we could possibly get attached to him in that amount of time in any other way than aesthetically. And then I'm told he's actually really deep because they're re-airing the movie in TV show form with additional scenes, at which point, why did I watch the movie in the first place, and why would I watch the show if I'll be watching a majority recycled content? But that's more of a Demon Slayer problem than a shonen problem. These 3 shows share another common trope.
Also, that's not a Demon Slayer problem or a shonen problem. That's an anime adaptation problem. And believe me, seinen suffer from bad anime adaptations a lot more than shonen do. Berserk's adaptations are almost unwatchable. Kingdom's adaptation is universally hated. Vinland's, while better, is criticized a lot for not capturing the same energy as the manga with a lot of the art. Like, bad anime adaptations is, for one, universal. For two, probably plagues seinen a lot more. There's a lot of really shit seinen anime.
Yeah. Oh my god.
On his students, but actually definitely cares about them deeply. There's always a school where there's no need to be, and there's always classes competing.
Where's the school in One Piece, dude? I thought that was a shonen trope.
No, or like no need to be. Okay, so looking at the ones he talked about, is there a school in Naruto? For one episode.
Kinda.
And then,
like
literally, the point is he's graduated. He's not in school anymore. Yeah. For MHA, there is a school, but that's, like, kind of the whole point.
I mean, they call it the tuning exams, but, like, it's not like a school setting at all.
Yeah, but also, there's a Jonin exam, and the people who take that are, like, 25.
Or, like, 6 if you're Kakashi, but still.
Okay, listen, Kakashi's stupid, okay? No, but that's the point. It's not a school. Or, like, with MHA, the fact that they're a school is very meaningful. Like, look at the school festival arc, where the whole point is they've been through so much trauma and bullshit, they've kind of lost connection with being a kid and like having fun with school. And the school festival is them trying to like grasp onto some of that and still like have fun with being in school.
Yeah.
It
They even
matters.
focus on like Aerie, like the youngest child in the cast, and be like, all right, she never got the chance. Let's give her the best day ever, and they try to do
Yeah.
that, and it's cute. It's nice.
Like, are there a couple manga where the fact that it's like a school specifically doesn't really matter? Soul Eater, kind of. Like, it doesn't have to be a school. It could be anything. It could be an organization. It could be a camp. The point is, it's just a lot of these characters together working for the same place. So Soul Eater, maybe, but Soul Eater's like well before, because like Ass Class is kind of a popularized like school manga
Oh,
coming back,
dude, you know where there's a
and
school
Soul
in
Eater's way
Germany?
older than Ass Class.
You're gonna 100% agree with me when I say this. There should not be a school in my favorite seinen manga, Ruby.
Okay, that's true. Fuck, Ruby's a seinen.
The Ruby manga's a seinen.
Mhm.
Fucking why?
Oh, I just remembered. Code Geass, which a lot of people call a seinen, it's a shoujo manga. Fuck you. It literally is. Code Geass is a shoujo.
Don't you
And I
just
love
love
that.
how like arbitrary demographic tags are when you really think about it?
So Aizawa Kakashi comparison is bad, but he brings them up later, so we can talk about it then.
Yeah.
Against each other, at least one person will have an inferiority complex because they're not as good as everyone else, and far more tropes that I'm not going to include for brevity's sake. And I'm not saying these tropes are outright bad in every case. They're just, like I said, tired, lazy, and unoriginal.
That's just calling them bad.
They're not bad, they're just tired, lazy, and unoriginal. Also, with the whole thing of not being good enough, inadequacy is like a basic human emotion that everyone feels. There's different degrees to it. Like, you could say Bakugo's inadequacy is a lot more petty than, like, oh, I know a character who feels inadequacy. Thorfinn. Thorfinn feels a lot of inadequacy. And yeah, Bakugo's inadequacy is a lot more petty than his, but that's because his setting is a lot more casual. And no, tired, lazy, and unoriginal does equal bad, so that's
Like,
kind of
even
stupid.
if he's just saying that they're done too much, the fact that he threw the term lazy in there implies that like it's bad just on its
Also,
own
Puff,
merits.
this is not a good or a bad thing. I'm just glad he's one of the YouTubers that has the game theory background.
Oh, yeah, that.
Because I love that so many
The
YouTubers
crumpled
use the game
paper.
theory. But yeah, dude, that's game theory.
For the audience. Imagine, however, a bright-eyed, super-powered main character
Wow.
comes
What's
along.
what's the seinen anime I'm looking at? What's the
Yeah,
seinen?
You know, here's the weird thing. Mob is a shonen. So
It
is the
is,
point.
100%.
So his point is that he's subverting shonen tropes, right? Let it keep playing.
And the teacher trope is subverted by making said teacher a con man who has no powers of his own and uses the main character's naivety to do his own work for him. Imagine a character...
Now wait a minute, Puff. We have a problem. One Punch Man's a seinen.
But wait a second, Shiki. That's not even really the case, because the original webcomic is shonen just like Mob is. It's only because the adaptation drawn by Murata, who is aligned with of Seinen magazine, made it a shonen. It's basically just a shonen story that was slammed into a Seinen magazine because
Because like the weird thing is like I guess his point is just subverting shonen tropes is good, but it's kind of iffy because like his two examples are seinen and shonen, so like he's praising shonen and seinen here, so he's not really proving one is better than the other. He's just proving both are good.
And the thing is, like, think about this critically. The same author wrote two stories, and they have like I'd
Similar
say, like,
themes.
similar themes, and like almost the exact same tone. I'd say, like, almost the exact same. And
Yeah, Mob's
yet
is
one
just a little more
seinen,
wholesome.
and one is a seinen, one is a shonen. Now, why is there an important difference there? There really isn't. It's just because
No, there's not.
Murata and because it's collaboration and stuff like that. But
Yeah, it's
he's
not
not
that
going to bring that
complicated.
up. He's never going to address this. Is
No,
the thing.
Puff, he doesn't even address that these things aren't the same demographic. He's just using them as examples of like subverting the teacher archetype. Which, first of all, they're not isn't a teacher. Literally, the joke starts and ends at Genos saying, teach me, and then Saitama saying no. Because Saitama doesn't teach Genos. Like, the most we get is when Saitama, during the most recent Monster Association arc in the manga, says, like, Genos' heart has grown. But that's not Saitama as a teacher. That's Saitama as a friend. Like, the closest thing we have to, like, a teacher is, like, Bang. And his pupil is fucking Garo.
Yep, that's a whole.
And that's some other shit.
I mean, what Shiki, isn't that the trope where like, oh, the lost student who loses his way and
Oh yeah,
just
no,
like,
that's literally a trope.
yeah,
Also,
it
One
is.
Punch Man is tropey as shit. Like literally 90% of the fights are just stalling while waiting for Saitama to come save the day. That's literally the most Dragon Ball thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah, no, it is, and like I get like the point is that people make fun of it, but like this is one thing that people never think about is like, all right, it's called One Punch Man because you know it's not like Dragon Ball where the fights get dragged forever. But then by the end of the first season, you have like a fight that's lasting multiple episodes, so like it's not even like really subverting it at that point. It's just
No,
literally
no, it's
doing it
not
straight
subversive at
out.
all because like literally by the end, One Punch Man is just a lot like other shonen. It's really good. Obviously, I'm not going to deny that. I fucking
Yeah,
love
it's
One
right.
Punch Man.
It's really
Whereas
good.
like Mob, I would say Mob is a little more unique, but not really because like it basically just switches between wholesome slice of life stuff with like a shy kid, which is like super common. I've read tons of shit like that,
Like
and
My
then
Hero Academia.
yeah, no, and then for the action part, it's like a kid who's trying to balance with his inner demons and powers, and that's also really common. I'm not saying One Punch Man and Mob are bad because their tropes are pretty common. Mob is like my second favorite anime ever. It's just like they're not as unique as you think they are. They're just
Yeah.
good.
Like again, everything you like is gonna be pulling from tropes from somewhere else at this point. Unless like you're literally gonna go back to the fucking caveman drawings and be like, look at the fucking originality here.
No,
This is
those no,
raw
but
artistic vision.
those are just drawings of fucking yaks. So they're just ripping off real life.
Oh fuck,
All
you're right, dude.
right, what's next?
And determined to get stronger, and the teacher trope is subverted by the main character being a teacher but has no clue how he became powerful in the first place, so he can't even teach this character anything. And this time the teacher role is fulfilled by the main character. Now imagine that the main character goes on a quest with his father, and the teacher trope is subverted first when the audience thinks the teacher is his father, but subverted a second time when the main character's father is killed by the new teacher character.
Okay, stop. This is a minor thing.
I know where I'm
The
going.
main character's dad dying in a flashback is not subversive.
TV tropes, TV
Dead
tropes,
dad.
dead dad.
No, like your
Manga.
parents dying in flashback is like the single most generic thing you can do.
Oh, and you know what's a fun thing? Like the mentor dies trope. Like I remember the mentor dies trope. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
TV
because that's
tropes.
another one.
Mentor dies, and guess who's on this page?
Who?
It's a little guy we talked about earlier.
Oh no.
I'm wondering if I can find him. Okay, anime and manga. Bleach. Cross and Death Note. Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. What a straighter example is Kyojo Rengoku.
Rengoku! No,
Dude,
you're meant to.
Demon Slayer is so like high IQ, man. It subverted the teacher trope by introducing what seemed like a mentor figure and then
and then
killing them
immediately
off.
killing him. No, like you can call anything subversive.
You just have to put the right spin on it and phrase it the right way.
Yeah, no, it's not clever.
So,
All right,
so
next.
dumb.
I'm gonna try to
The
not
role
talk
of
for like
the
a minute.
antagonist. The main character misinterprets his father's lessons and follows around the teacher, who uses the main character's strength in battle in return for a duel, which the main character.
Yes, yes.
It's just a short thing. So he wants a corrupt teacher character where where the hero wants to kill the teacher and the teacher kind of doesn't care for the hero and they're both just like taking advantage of each other and also the main character misunderstands like their old teacher's advice. You know who I immediately think of?
Who?
I think of Sasuke and Orochimaru.
Yep.
And Sasuke and Orochimaru even has another layer where both of them know that at some point they're gonna try to kill each other. Like they both know that.
Yeah. Like,
And like that's
Sasuke,
pretty
I want
unique,
your
I
body.
would say.
Like, yeah, like Sasuke, I want your body, and that's why I'm training you. And Sasuke's like, well, I want to be trained by you because you're super cool, but I'm not letting you take my body. So when
Yeah, like that's a super unique student teacher dynamic where both of them know at some point they're gonna fucking try to kill each other. That's insane.
dude, is Naruto like a soft seinen now because
Yeah,
like
dude,
it
it
has
is.
slightly subversive elements?
That's not even subversive. That's just doing something slightly more unique. That's not what words mean.
Yeah.
All right. Also, another thing is whenever he talks about Vinland, he goes into like great depth. But whenever he talks about another series, he's intentionally like super reductive, super fast, not actually engaging with it, which you can do that for any series.
You don't have to go too deep.
No, like you can do that with any series where you only do like good analysis for one and then just like speed summarizing with sarcasm for another. You can do that with anything. That's not well intentioned critique. That's just being a dick.
Yeah.
Character can't possibly win and is tragically fated to follow and protect his father's killer. Also that he can duel him again some undetermined time in the future, a duel that he will never win. All the while, over the course of 10 years, the teacher imparts bits and pieces of actual knowledge and wisdom to help the main character, and over time, without even realizing it, the main character and the man who murdered the main character's father build a father-son relationship, organically and believably, only coming to a climax in the last episode of the season. And then the teacher dies without the main character being the one to kill him, and in his final moments, the teacher gets across his wish for the main character to find a real purpose in life outside of mindless killing. That is the relationship between Thorfinn and Askeladd. Like I said before, the amount of mileage...
Dude, how
the
fucking
Hey,
tropey
Puff.
is it to not live for like? Isn't like revenge is cringe the most unique theme you've ever heard of?
Oh yeah, no. Failing to get your revenge is like one of the single most common things in shonen manga. Actually,
I wouldn't even say shonen manga, just like media or like
I
storytelling
know,
in
but
general,
I
just,
like bringing
revenge
up
is
shonen
cringe.
manga because he doesn't like shonen. No, because like yeah, revenge bad is like super generic and super common. You can find it in anything from Oberyn versus the Mountain in Game of Thrones to Law versus Dofi in One Piece.
Yeah.
You can find it anywhere because it's like a really common thing.
But
And
like,
also, like the
but
whole
like you're
thing
being
is, you could also
reductionist
say
with
like,
Vinland right now, which is bad. Like we're not gonna say Vinland's bad because it has revenge as a theme and that's tropey. That'd be dumb.
yeah, no, or like
Because
another thing
when
is
you
he
apply
brought
the
up
same
how,
logic to anything you like, you can like just like lob shit at it like that.
yeah, no, or like another thing is like, you could also call that like an anticlimax, right, where the main character is robbed of what they want most. That's also super common. Hunter x Hunter does it every fucking arc.
Yeah, it does. But that's a soft seinen, so we can't talk about
No,
that.
fuck, you're right. Shit, god damn it.
You know what's actually kind of weird? I thought like
What?
a video that says shonen versus seinen and like has this whole mindset like seinen big three and stuff would have like had like that fucking meme of soft seinen and have investigated those series at least to see if there was something up with it.
Like, down there is the truth about Seinen versus Shonen by the Masked Man. I don't love the Masked Man. I think he's kind of a head ass, but he probably did a way better exploration of the difference between the two.
Yeah.
Of course, if you want a good exploration, you watch the Craft Store video.
Hell yeah.
The creator
Alright.
of Vinland Saga, Makoto Yukimura, has been able to get out of the teacher trope is tremendous, in part by focusing on a single teacher and a single student over 19 episodes. Remember what I said about...
He didn't write the
Rengoku?
anime.
Demon
He didn't
Slayer's
pick the
writer
19
tried to
episodes.
draw out those 19 episodes of relationship building and emotions from 30 minutes of a 90-minute movie. Where
Also,
Rengoku and
no,
the
they
main
didn't.
character get only one scene together where they don't talk about anything thematic or meaningful. And
Wait,
that's
stop.
what I'm talking...
Okay, the two things are one, the Vinland Saga author didn't pick that the anime would be 19 episodes. That the movie would be 30 minutes of Rengoku. They didn't pick that. That was the anime staff. That was not them. They only wrote the manga. And two, Rengoku's death is actually nothing but symbolism and themes. That's like all he talks about is like the importance of like the strong dying to protect the weak, and how if you're strong, you have a right to protect others,
Yeah,
and
or
how
like
that's really meaningful. That's meaningful to Tanjiro because he sees that great flames like Rengoku, who's amazing, burn out, and that's why he gets his hilt and tries to carry his will. But that's also meaningful to Zenitsu and Inosuke, because Zenitsu is strong but is a pussy who hates helping people. So, Rengoku imparts onto him, don't do that. And Inosuke's the opposite. Inosuke's crazy strong, but he's a dick and he hates people. So, the whole thing of you're strong and you should use that to protect people is important to all three of them. For Nezuko, it doesn't matter because she's fucking asleep.
And also, like, there's a very obvious, like, metaphor here with, like, fire representing humanity because it's temporary, but it's also, like, brilliant at the same time. As opposed to demons. Like, I remember the demon in the train arc. I never saw the movie, but I remember from the manga. Was like, dude, you'd be such a strong demon, Rengoku. Why don't you just join us? And he's like, fuck off, I'm a human. I'm gonna die
His
one
thing
day,
is,
and I'm
like,
cool
you
with
could
that.
live forever and fight me because he wants to. Because the thing is, that demon loves fighting. It's fun for him. But the only demons who are nearly as strong as him are pricks. dicks and don't want to fight him. Well, no, there's two. There's the ice guy, who he hates, because everyone hates the ice guy because he's weird. And then there's the sword guy, who actually does want the young demon to get strong. But the sword guy is like so much stronger than him, it's not even fair. So he's like, Rengoku, come on, we'd be such fun rivals. Or even another example of static is that whole train arc is about people falling asleep and the desire to stay in a dream world, but they don't. Because humans are supposed to burn as bright as they can and then die out. They can't stay forever in a dream world, static in the snow. And that's why, like, when we go to Rengoku's dream world, there's nothing there but fire and flames. Rengoku has no dreams that he wants to escape to anymore. Because his only dream was a flashback to his mom. He isn't stuck trying to relive something. He's currently living out his mom's dream.
Oh man, I'm just remembering like the finale of Demon Slayer, and like I don't want to.
So good.
It's really good. I kind of thought the fight with Mugan was a slog, but like the
I reread it. It's way better when it's not weekly.
Yeah, but I remember the end of it was just like, oh, that's just beautiful. Even if the theme's simple as hell, like if you illustrate it in a beautiful way, then you've done your job. You've done such a great job doing it.
That's obviously.
Yeah.
Talking about. That's the problem with time management and shonen. But people still like Rengoku because he's cool and funny, LMAO. Demon Slayer's audience aren't in the state of mind where they're looking for narrative through lines. Why would you when you have animation, music, and voice acting like Demon Slayer does? But I digress.
Oh my god.
Then there's Aizawa, who, unlike Askeladd, is
I
in the
love
mind
Demon Slayer.
by only being shown caring about Deku and Bakugo because he simply doesn't have enough time
But he made Mind Control Boy his special apprentice.
Yeah, no, or like he's the one who adopted Eri, so that's just wrong. In fact, you could call that subversive, Puff. You think that this main teacher is going to have all these close bonds with his class, but then all of the class end up forming bonds with different teachers, and his two most important pupils are a toddler and someone from the fucking, like, medic, not the medic, the tech unit?
Thing. Like, subversion itself is a fucking trope, is the thing, because, like, every narrative tries to subvert your expectations.
Yeah, no, because I could call it subversive that no one in Class 1A really has Aizawa as their favorite teacher. Deku has All Might and Gran Torino and Night Eye. Bakugo has All Might and Best Genus, who he respects so much, he's the first one he wanted to tell his hero name to. And you have that with everyone. Tokoyami loves Hawks. Ochako loves the gun face guy and the black hole girl. Like, they all have their own teachers that they love, because that's the whole point of the hero society. There's different heroes you can look up to. And Aizawa's whole thing is he's like a deadbeat hero who doesn't shine in the light, who doesn't really want, like, people to look up to him. He just wants them to be better than him. And that's why it's meaningful that Mind Control Boy is the one who looks up to him the most, because Mind Control Boy is just like him. They have non-showy, kind of creepy powers, and they look creepy. Like, so even he was able to find someone to look up to him. It's great. I love it. It's super cool and meaningful. You need to use your brain. Same with Demon Slayer. I'll admit, Demon Slayers don't use their brains that much either, because I'm smarter than all of them. I'm going to say that right now.
Yeah.
Care about any other students consistently because there are over 20 of them. And because of this, Deku and Bakugo only share a few scenes with Aizawa every few episodes. It is one of the most basic teacher-student relationships I've ever seen, and Aizawa is unironically a better character in the spin-off manga My Hero Academia Vigilantes, where, guess what, he's given a considerable amount of time to develop, nearly 2 volumes.
Now wait a minute, Puff. Vigilantes is a prequel manga, meaning the whole thing's a flashback, so actually that development sucks and shouldn't count.
Oh, dude, you're right. Fuck. Alright, Kakashi. What does he have to say about Kakashi?
That's from my brief 3 episodes of Naruto before I dropped it.
And yet you're gonna fucking bring it up anyway.
Hey, Puff, I'm gonna look... Okay, so episode 1 is the intro, and episode 2 is Konohamaru, right?
Yeah.
What's episode 3?
It's the one where Sasuke jumps, or Naruto jumps Sasuke and ties him up in the bathroom, right?
Oh my god, it is! Wait, we don't even meet Kakashi by that point!
It's like, I guess like maybe he meant like 4th, or maybe like he skipped the Konohamaru one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, or like, okay, so first off, he's being literal, he never met... Let's say he's exaggerating and he watched like up to Before the Land of Waves or something, right? Kakashi is still more unique as a teacher than like a lot of other things. Because his thing is that he thinks the way to help them get strong is to actually just fucking bully the shit out of them and then not be nice to them until he thinks they deserve it. That's pretty unique for a mentor.
I mean, I would say pretty unique, like the hard, like boot camp.
No. Hard ass is unique. Is not unique. That's pretty common. But Kakashi has his own quirks. Like his whole, he's literally reading porn when he fights Naruto.
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing. Like, gets back to what I'm talking about when, like, subversion is a trope onto itself. It's like, oh, Kakashi's, like, this sort of unassuming, chill, laid-back guy. But then, like, it turns out he's a badass. There's really like, this trope called, like,
Yeah,
crouching
but then there's a
tiger, hidden
subversion of
badass.
that because then on top of him being a cool, called badass, he also reads porn in public like a freak. I can see it.
Crouching more and hidden. Yeah, it's like literally yeah. It's just
Oh,
like
it's Roshi.
yeah. It's just literally like characters introduced and they're like a goofy guy or like they look unassuming or whatever, and
Yeah,
then
no,
turns out they're
where
really
even
smart.
subversions turn into tropes.
Yeah.
Well, like the fact that this is the way you chose to be subversive means you're partaking in a different trope. And then you could say the perverted sensei is also a trope. But Kakashi's not really perverted as a perverted sensei, that's Jiraiya. Kakashi just reads porn in public like a freak because he's weird.
And like there's like a ton of like tropes that are like inherently subversive, like the gentle giant, just a big character who looks big and tough but turns out they're a soft boy. Like
Mm-hmm.
like there's so many that like are just based on subversion because subversion is
Mm-hmm.
such a basic element of
Or like
storytelling.
Kakashi's big thing is he gets a ton of development because in between the parts we get Kakashi's flashback where we learn all about the fucked up shit that went through him and how he got his eye. And then his big conflict is his Kamui, and then his fight with Tobio, who we learn is Obito, and then that's Kakashi's big thing, because he and Obito are both stuck in the past. Kakashi is stagnant. He reads porn in public like he's a fucking child, stealing magazines like Naruto did in episode 2. He's a kid,
Yeah.
and he's just clinging on to words that he knows he can't uphold, like I'll never let my allies die, something he stole from Obito. Or the fact that he's always late because he's checking in on something more emotional to him. He stole that from Obito too. All of Obito's bad habits as a kid, Kakashi picked up. Like, that's meaningful.
Yeah, but too bad he only got 3 episodes in and like saw Kakashi once.
The absolute worst teacher-student relationship, Gojo and Yuji, where Gojo just shows up to show off how badass he is. In all of the first season, which is 24 episodes, I have no clue what drives Gojo other than protect the innocent, which is every other character's motivation, but he's also carefree about it, which comes off as reckless, like he doesn't care about protecting people at all, and he just likes to fight bad guys, which is all he's there for anyway in both the first season and the movie. He's just there
Alright,
to fill
counterpoint.
the role because
Yeah,
every
okay,
show...
take it away. You're the
Yeah, Jujutsu Man. I even watched that movie in theaters, which was a waste of money.
Jujutsu man from Jujutsu Land.
Gojo actually is very unique from these other teachers because these other teachers are like subordinates. Like Akashi's strong, but he's just like a famous Jonin. Aizawa is like not even, I think, a top 50 hero. Gojo is the strongest man in the series. Period. He just is. And he holds tons of power. You're right, he does spend a lot of time showing off to Itadori, but there's a reason for that. He wants to show Itadori how cool and awesome he is, so that when Gojo eventually decides to change the way the Jujutsu world runs, which he does, that's his big thing. We know that in Season 1, because he has a scene where he talks to the elders in charge, and he threatens to murder all of them because he doesn't like them. Which he could do if he wanted to.
Nice.
He's collecting a bunch of protege sorcerers so that he can raise a better Jujutsu world. And eventually we wonder, oh, I wonder why. I wonder if we'll get a flashback arc that tells us. And then we do, and that's a new season. And then in the movie, which technically in the manga canon comes first, that manga was written before Jujutsu, but who fucking cares? It's this. He's doing the same thing with fucking... What is his name? Yuta? Something like that? Fuck me. It's the same thing. He found a kid with almost as much potential as him. With him, it's even more unique. Itadori's just, like, weird. This kid reminds Gojo of himself in the sense that he has this insane fucking potential that's, like, horrifying.
Nice.
And he wants him to become better, do good, not turn out like his psychopath friend. We don't need to actually cook him too much on Jujutsu because, much like how if you say all shonen is bad, if you don't exclude Hunter x Hunter, Hunter x Hunter fans rip you a new ass. If you say all shonen is bad and don't exclude Jujutsu, Jujutsu fans rip you a new ass, which happened in the comments.
Should we take a quick look or?
They're all Jujutsu.
Oh, 14 replies for. Oh, cool, and he did. Oh, huh.
Oh, what did he say? Where's his reply? Oh, did he delete it? Oh, show more replies. Show more. At the bottom it says show more. Yeah, I've only seen the first season. Wait, in the first season you could still figure out there's more to him than that. Don't you fucking hide your stupidity behind first season. Hoo-hoo. Fuck you.
Alright, whatever. Comments are
And
dumb.
needs a cool teacher. The same goes for the superpowered high school trope, which is incredibly unnecessary and half-assed. Once again, it feels like this trope is only here because the writer feels some obligation to have it in his story.
Dude, you remember fucking Ruby, my favorite seinen
Yeah.
manga?
No, I agree that in Jujutsu, I think it's a Soul Eater thing. Like, it doesn't have to be a school. It could be a military faction, and it would be the exact same thing. The whole point is we just need all these students to side together under Gojo, and then we need other factions that work together and have a rivalry siding under someone else. You're right, it doesn't have to be a school, it could be something else. The only reason it's a school is because they're teenagers, and schools are a popular setting right now. But there's nothing wrong with it being a school. Like, would it be any better if it was like a military camp? No.
Not
It'd be the exact
necessarily.
same.
Alright.
Know where the school is in Chainsaw Man? There is.
I know where the school is. I know where the
It's
school
in
is.
part 2!
No, literally that arc, which was coming out, Puff, because this only came out a month ago. Literally the second Chainsaw Man saga is the school saga.
Oh, it's so great.
It's literally about Denji and also Asa trying to deal with the fact that they are crazy strong demons in school. For Denji, it's the fact that he's a show-off prick and he wants people to like that he's a show-off prick. And for Asa, it's that everyone around her keeps dying.
I wonder if he thinks Chainsaw Man is an exception like Attack on Titan.
Oh, he probably does.
Yeah.
Because it's good.
Where the teacher is in Chainsaw Man, unless you count 3 short scenes towards.
I would.
Yeah, I'd count
He
him.
is
He's
that.
totally a teacher character.
He's
He's totally a
teacher
mentor
trope.
character.
The end of season 1 where it's necessary for the plot to progress. There isn't one, because training arcs are the most boring content in shonen. It's what killed My Hero Academia for a lot of people. You know when the happy ending is in Chainsaw Man? There isn't one.
Because you haven't made it to the end of part 1 yet, buddy boy. Well, I mean, I guess like, you know,
Well, no, even then, it's like a bittersweet ending for part 1.
that is true.
But
I
also,
get
like, the manga isn't over.
that is true.
Like, I think Chainsaw Man is going to end probably more melancholy than most manga because the Chainsaw Man author is a bit of a downer. But it's still going to end overall positive, I feel like.
Yeah, and also the fact that this is a shonen we're talking about kind of goes to show that like they can end tragically. Like my favorite, Devilman ends terribly, worse than Chainsaw Man ever could. I
Oh, so
think.
much worse. And also, there are brief bits of happiness. Like, that's kind of the point. Is that some characters do get to be happy every now and then.
Yeah. And like even though we
Alright.
can get into some more examples of like dark endings like Death Note, where the main character, like I guess he's the villain, but even that's like kind of a weird thing where like
You know, I wouldn't say Death Note even has a happy ending, because the ending is all the cool detectives died except for like 2. Now there's a literal light cult wandering around praising light,
yeah,
and then
it's not
manga
good.
over.
It's not good.
But there can be. I believe in you, Fujimoto. You can make a happy ending for once. Both
Oh, so he
Vinland
does
Saga
want a
and
happy
Chainsaw
ending.
Man are well aware of their world. You can't make a world with rapists and murderers, then give them happy endings because it would betray the world the writer has created. You can't
How
make
does that
a world
work?
where
That's
devils
not true,
kill
actually.
4 out of every.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, like, it's
Like,
like the whole post-apocalypse like genre just based on let's put the characters in the worst possible situation, but have a hopeful like
Yeah.
or
Or like,
outcome or message.
or like in Naruto, you're right. Naruto does redeem a lot of like heinous murderers, but that's because Naruto's whole thing is about forgiveness and redemption in the cycle of hatred. Or hell, you have something like, I'll be vague about it because Fire Force is good. Fire Force at the end, a literal rapist does get a second chance at life because the whole point is that human life is precious and that if we can give someone a second chance, we should. Just because you want them to die doesn't mean that's what the author wants, you weirdo. As long as they engage with the material, it's fine.
Yeah.
10 people and give everyone a happy ending because it would betray the world the writer created. So when I see everyone is fine and dandy in My Hero Academia and act upbeat all the time,
Do you love
acting
how
like
he
trauma
says that over
isn't
the
a thing.
Shigaraki
Like you wouldn't
backstory?
be worried about your school exploding or your entire neighborhood getting blown up.
Alright, now this is just gonna get a whole thing about, like, not understanding why a story would want a different tone.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Oh
yes,
no, yeah,
action manga, like, are inherently dangerous. Like, it's
yeah,
dangerous
mm-hmm.
an inherent quality. But
Yeah, no,
also,
but
what if
yeah,
I want it to
his
be lighthearted and fun most of the time? Is
yeah,
that a unforgivable sin against storytelling?
no. No, because literally the rest of this video is just him ranting that he likes gritty realism, not like happy uplifting stories, and like that's fine. But happy uplifting stories aren't bad, you freak. It's literally Evangelion versus Gurren. I like Gurren more.
Even then, like, people try and push that so hard too. Like, oh, like Gurren Lagann responds to Ava, which it really
It
doesn't.
doesn't respond to it. I just use them as examples because they're like the exact same genre with very similar themes,
Yeah, it's just
and just
pessimism versus optimism, is it?
yeah, it's just one is more like down and moody, and the other is like the coolest thing ever. Also, it's not all like implying everyone gets a good ending. No, they don't. That trans character got fucking murdered. Overhaul got his arm ripped off, and he's depressed now. Fucking One for All's gonna die. Probably. It'd be weird if he didn't. Aerie murdered her parents. They're not getting happy endings. They're fucking dead.
Nope.
Like, just because the world, like, I guess by happy ending he means like the world ends a better place, but like that's good. Like this manga is targeted at children, so ending with a happy place where the message
Dude, you're proving his point. You
itself and
targeted
together you can
children,
all
therefore
improve
it's
the
gonna be
world.
happy-go-lucky, and that means it's bad because it's meant to please children. Oh no.
Yeah, but what if I like just like good vibes? What if I like happy shit? What if that's what makes me feel good?
Yeah, like, what if I read Kaguya because I just want to feel good shit? Like my favorite seinen ever, Kaguya.
Okay, is my favorite seinen, and Akira is my second favorite. You can think what you want about that combo.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Up without
we can finish
warning
it.
or
Okay,
getting
it's just another fucking thing. I made an innocent video, asshole. I got the most mature, most darkest seinen you can imagine on my 3x3.
Good
So
job.
eat it.
incinerated while going grocery shopping. Live normal, fearless lives where heroes don't have to kill. People die playing high school football because they land funny and snap their neck. But tell me how children can fight each other with superpowers, what are essentially deadly
Yep,
weapons
not
on
understanding
international
tone.
TV. Where said
Also, like
children
there
can
is
become
a in-universe
superheroes and
reason
fight
for
various
all of
villains
this.
who are trying to kill them, and their parents are only slightly torn up about it at
Like,
the
pause it.
age
I can
of
explain.
15.
I can explain all of
The
this.
world of
Yep.
Okay, for one, the parents aren't slightly torn up. The teachers have to go house to house convincing them not to take their kids out of the story. So there's that. For two, he brought up like houses being blown up. No, schools being blown up. The students literally moved from their houses to a boarding school because that's safer because the teachers can protect them. And then another one is the whole fighting thing. Hey, there's magic superpowers. You think there might be magic healers? The answer is yes, there are magic healers. And as for why heroes don't kill, literally the whole point is everyone is trying to strive to be a symbol of peace, like All Might. All Might's whole thing is he doesn't kill. He subdues bad guys with a
No,
lot of
no,
like
no, Shiki. Don't you
style and
understand?
grace.
The world would be so
And
much more
then
peaceful if we just enforced the death penalty.
no,
Like,
it's fine if you
like in my favorite seinen manga, Innocent, where it's the good olden French days where we would just execute people over and over. It was the most
That's
peaceful
really
time
funny.
to be alive.
Yeah, no, because like literally the whole point of MHA is like All Might was trying to create an era of general peace, and now that he's dying, they're realizing the flaw. Dying, he's old and retired. Now that he's gone, they're realizing the flaws of this thing. Like they're trying to create a new symbol of peace, but for one, no one's physically capable of that, and two, even if they were, All Might wasn't perfect. We need to create a new system that'll create even better peace than what All Might did. And the whole emphasis is peace and heroism. Brutally murdering the sludge doesn't make you a hero. That makes you a scary cop man who murders people.
Makes you kind of a dictator.
No, it's scary.
Yeah.
of My Hero Academia is full of contradictions. People can't just live a normal life like you or I because it betrays a world the writer has created. but they do, because the world building is bad.
No, they don't. Literally, the whole
lives
point is they
cosplaying their
try to live a
bullshit.
normal life.
Yeah.
Like, they desperately try to, even though
Also,
they can't.
Like the thing is, like My Hero actually goes out of its way to address some of the stuff, and it's true not everything does. Like Sky High, that movie doesn't really address how kids
I
are
love
supposed
Sky High.
and do it's fun. It's a fun movie. But anyway, what I mean, just like it's about tone, and if you can't see why you want a lighthearted superhero like romp, I'm just kind of wondering what you think. You think there's no reason to like that, or
No, it's also weird that he said MHA used to be his favorite, like, anime. How, when you seem to hate literally every single aspect of it?
no? I guess it's just like a thing where he thought it was cool, and then like over time he just
And then
like
he thought about it, he learned, I literally hate every single thing the series does.
I mean, I guess it happens to some people. I imagine.
Yeah, but, like, that happened for me, but then I grew out of it and then reached the base process of most things are pretty good.
Yeah, I mean that's the reality of it, isn't it? Most things are pretty good.
Hmm.
And also this whole thing about like gritty realism, like this is fucking 90s Superman territory. Where like we're like Superman sucks because he's not gritty and realistic, and then the answer is like it's not realistic, but I'm gonna try my best to be a paragon anyway. And that's kind of
Yeah.
like paragons. This is why I don't like when people are like paragons are bad. It's like, oh, you can't have a character who like represents ideals and such, and then test them.
Hmm.
And you can't do that because then they have no character flaw.
Yeah,
Shiro
'cause
Emiya is
also-
a bad character because he's a paragon.
Also-
I just saw
also,
Heavy Steel like yesterday.
No,
finished it today.
I love Shiro.
Yeah,
No,
Shiro's
or also, what was the thing he brought up about heroes not having to kill? There actually is a hero who kills. His name is Hawks. And the one villain he kills was very controversial and raised a lot of questions. Because, like, the good of it was if he didn't kill that hero, they probably would have lost that battle and lost a lot more lives, right?
Yeah.
But he did kill that villain, and that villain dying made other villains even more mad and created a potentially an even bigger threat in the current war.
Yeah.
Where that's kind of the whole thing of MHA. The whole point is we shouldn't kill these villains. We need to reach out to them and help them because they're people just like us.
Yeah, 'cause
And
that was
most
the
of
thing
them
about
only
Twice. Twice was
Yeah.
a good guy, kind of.
no, Twice could have been redeemed so easily. Or, like, another thing is, like, a lot of them are quote-unquote villains literally only because they're quirks. That's the point. Society
It's
rejected them.
almost like the stuff with Kirishima. Sometimes you have a
Shigaraki
quirk, it
only
doesn't suit you.
worked under All for One because he had a quirk that killed his whole family. Toga only became a villain because her quirk gave her a terrifying obsession with sucking the blood out of creatures. It's that type of thing. Or, like, Twice became a villain because he was going insane because his quirk was literally driving him insane. And that's the point. Like, you need to, like, he talks about how Demon Slayer fans aren't smart enough to engage with themes. He's not smart enough to engage with MHA's themes. He's just mad it's not like Vinland and then crying.
It is. It's just.
It's so bad.
Children who fight grown adults who are completely okay with killing them live. All Might lives. All for One lives. Only one villain, Magna, who nobody cared about, dies. The only hero who anyone cared about who died was Midnight, who was more of a character in the spin-off manga. Aizawa's friend died and came back to life. Entire cities crumble and are rebuilt weeks later without consequence.
There was totally consequence to that fight, though.
Yeah, like the symbol of peace is gone, and now crime rates have skyrocketed.
Or, like, literally the pure danger of that event is what led to the teachers having to convince all the parents not to take their kids out of the program. Because they saw that, and they're like, wait, that's what my kid's fighting? You fucking kidding me? Like, that's the point.
Yeah.
Damage, and it's barely touched on. Askeladd dies because the life he chose will inevitably get him killed. Thors dies. He doesn't just get to live a normal, happy life because of his choices. Bjorn dies. The Ear dies.
So cool
Askeladd's entire army dies. King Swain
stakes.
dies. Ragnar dies. Thorfinn is sold into slavery. Askeladd had one friend.
Dude, people die and bad things happen.
Wounded, and then Askeladd was obligated to kill him in a duel so he could enter Valhalla.
This is Seinen tropes we're talking about. People
because
dying.
you can't be a Viking without.
Also, there's plenty of shonen where people die. There's plenty of shonen where terrible things happen to people. Terrible things happen to people in One Piece, and it's one of the most happy-go-lucky things ever. And he included flashbacks in Death's Puff. If we include flashbacks, One Piece is a mighty
Ruh-roh.
series with lots of death.
Well, I mean, I think like even then he'd still deny because like death fake outs are a thing in One Piece, so like maybe he'd
Death
like
fake
still
outs are
say
a
it.
thing in Vinland Saga too.
But also, you know what I'd like to bring up? Devilman again, or Chainsaw
Yeah.
Man,
Or
or
I'll bring
JoJo.
up. No, I can bring up one that he talked about. Demon Slayer.
Right, Van
Not
Gogh.
even half. 80% of the Demon Slayer cast dies.
Yeah, they do. Because it's almost like mortality is like a running theme,
Oh,
right?
and then if we include villains, because this guy included villains, villains dying in Shonen is normal. Fairy Tail kills like half its villains. Demon Slayer kills literally every single villain. Not a single villain survives in Demon Slayer.
Consequence.
So yeah.
Sometimes people just die without completing their arc or accomplishing their goals or
Do you
seeing the better
mean like a tragedy? A whole it's literally a whole genre named tragedy for this exact reason.
world
Just
they're
so
trying to create. It's really hard to be a good person and live a good life. It's really hard to have willpower to defy the conditions of your birth. People don't just magically have willpower or goals. Maintaining willpower is incredibly hard. Sometimes you don't choose your own goals. Goals are forced upon you. It's really hard to change.
Oh wait.
Some people just can't. But for some,
yeah.
This is probably the last thing I'm going to say. Everything he said applies to MHA.
Yep.
Sometimes it's hard to do the right thing, and sometimes goals are forced upon you. That's literally the Deku's like
Edge
fallen
Q
arc.
Edge
Like
Q
that's literally the Edge Q arc. That's what it is.
Edge Q arc.
He can't handle the pressure of trying to be the symbol of peace, and that's really hard. And then on top of that, it's really hard to try and be like this good stand-up person. That's why sometimes Deku will do shit like that one villain that he like kind of brutally beat up, and All Might's like, "What the fuck?" Like, yeah, it's hard. And then with like the whole willpower thing, you're right. Some characters do have really good willpower and can keep it up all the time, like Kirishima. But then we see that Kirishima is actually always struggling. But then we also see characters who fail. Mina was Kirishima's embodiment of willpower. But when she's faced up against the scariest monster in the series, her willpower breaks and she stops in fear. And then Kirishima, who was inspired by her, does have the willpower to save her. That's literally a character not having willpower in the face of something truly horrifying.
I just want to talk about like Superman versus the Elite, or like what's so funny about Truth Just in the American Way, where like literally the whole point is like, oh yeah, we're gritty, we kill people because that's what the world demands of us. You can't be I remember he brings up like, how can you not kill the villain Superman? The government does it all the time, and Superman's like, yeah, but we're stronger than the government, so if we can be better than them, we can try. And guess what? Like in real life, sometimes people are just nice like that.
Mm-hmm. No,
You
but
can be
like
a
you're right
good
a lot.
person.
But like literally everything he complained about besides death, because MHA, while it definitely does have death, a lot of people die. It is obviously lighter on death than something like
Oh,
Vinland
I just
or
want to clarify. When I
Vagabond.
said some people are like, I don't mean there's people stronger than the government. I mean
No,
there's good people
obviously
that
not. Yeah.
exist.
Oh yeah. Also, one thing I forgot about is ensemble casting. Vagabond has a lot of fucking characters. All
One of
right,
the scene
next.
in Big Three has an ensemble cast. What?
some reason in
Well, actually, no. I'd
Shonen,
say if any of
people
them
can
do,
do
it's
anything
Berserk.
they set their mind
Yeah,
to,
Berserk
and can
definitely
tap
does.
into unending willpower. Because the main trope of any shonen is that through hard work and dedication, you can do anything. A fine lesson for 10-year-olds, but I ain't 10. That's the end.
Really, really profound, dude.
But dude, reality is harsh and gritty and sounds like a fine theme for an edgy 14-year-old. What's
Yeah,
your
no,
point?
that's literally the Superman thing. Like, yeah, the world's honestly not that dark when you look at it. And this is
Mm-hmm.
why Star Trek's like honestly one of the coolest things ever,
Mm-hmm.
because it's literally just like,
Right?
oh yeah, human society compared to where we came from, we're doing super well, all things considered.
Okay. Okay. No, but what I was gonna say, but oh my god, his subscribers have shot up. I think this video actually helped him a lot. That is so fucking dumb. All right. No, because he had the same amount of subscribers as you a few weeks ago.
Oh.
So he shot up by like
Oh
300. No, so
no,
the
he's
point
being
is, no, because like if you want to say that happy-go-lucky themes are for 10-year-olds, then I can just as easily say themes about how the world is harsh and gritty and sucks are the perfect theme for an edgy 14-year-old because they are.
like that's the thing, like it's literally called angst and edge because like it's not a phase, mom. I'm gonna be like this past when I'm 14. Like that's what the thing is. So like if you're gonna push down like shonen like this, like people could push you down for these same reasons. Like
Hmm.
again, like Devilman's a lot grittier, a lot darker than anything he's discussed, but still I'd say it's like angsty and would probably appeal more to teenagers than it would
Yeah.
actual
Or
adults.
like Chainsaw Man is angsty as shit, and that's why it's in a shonen magazine because they think the 13-year-olds will like the blood and the gore.
Yeah. It's like they're really trying to branch out and like try and get more of an audience. And that's a nothing I want to talk about more is like just like demographic, like how coincidental it is how some of these things get into what magazine. Because like again,
Yeah.
some magazines switch what demographic they're aiming for. Some like again like there's that one
Vinland used to be shonen. JoJo used to be shonen.
yeah like
That's a great
again
one.
what Japanese
Vinland, the beginning
Chinese
that he praised to hell and back was a shonen when it came out.
yeah, and also Champion Red, the manga that like has Frankenfran now.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it also has a bunch of Saint Seiya manga because again it was there when it was a shonen magazine, but they just stuck on. Like
Yeah.
Princess Tutu used to be in this magazine too, but it's just for seinen now.
Hmm.
Or
Or
again,
like,
like
yeah,
One
or like
Punch
what I brought
Man.
up, how the level of fan service in Fire Force and Soul Eater, or the level of gore in Jujutsu no Rokuin, which by the way is bad, don't read it. Those type of things are allowed to be shown in the Weekly Shonen Sunday general manga thing. But in Jump, if you tried to run a story where a guy slowly gets his finger cut in half and then has the nail peeled off with tons of blood and high detail, they'd say, "Put that in our seinen, you freak." And with all the fan service, they'd probably say that might be allowed in our monthly shonen, but not our weekly. The moms would get mad at that
Yeah.
because yeah, it's also magazine based.
Also, another thing is just like not showing nipples might get you the shonen thing. Like I remember
Hmm.
there's this one like
Although,
thing.
although
Again,
even then, that's pretty iffy.
yeah, it
Like
is.
the weekly, Blue Exorcist, which is ongoing, like Dragon Ball, which is the most shonen thing ever, has shown me frontal nudity with Bulma, and even a dick because we saw Kid Goku's dick. I have seen more
But
dicks in
it's
Dragon Ball than I
old.
have in
It's
Berserk.
old. It's
Think
old. It's
about that.
old. It's old. It's old. It's old. Please.
And
And Berserk
Puff
is old
isn't
too, but like
no, no, Puff, isn't that funny? I've seen more dicks in Dragon Ball than I have in Berserk.
that is funny.
Oh, I think that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Also,
So yeah,
this is one thing. Like Kaguya is like the only really seinen thing about Kaguya, if you can really call it that, is just that they mention sex.
off-screen sex.
Yeah. And like that's the thing. Do you think like Kaguya like earned the title seinen when like the president and Kaguya finally had sex, or do you think
No,
that
it's
like,
still
or do you
pretty
think like
baby shit.
it was a shonen up until that point?
No, because it was always a seinen. It was always running that magazine. Okay, so yay, we're ending the video the way we started it, explaining that this is a bad distinction and you should never make it because you're not smart. Just read the MHA manga, read the Vinland manga, and then compare them, champ. You'd have a great time with that, because then you wouldn't have to fucking summarize MHA and be reductive. You could actually go in depth with why you think MHA is bad.
Yep.
And I might agree with some of your points, because yeah, MHA ain't perfect, dog.
Yeah. And also, I like Vinland. I like it when you talk about Vinland. It's not bad.
Yeah, it is quite good. And in fact, I'd say, if anything, a video where he gets to touch more on the things that make Vinland and MHA good and bad would just be like inherently better.
Yeah. Well,
Whoopee, we can let the video run out now.
yep. Good night.